But with Debbie Wasserman Schultz now out as the chair of the DNC, we need a replacement, and we've already got one, or at least an interim one. So Louis Miranda, the communications director of the DNC, tweeted out that it is, in fact, going to be Donna Brazile. Now, Donna Brazile is well-liked inside of the party, inside of the campaign, certainly, but she has her own problems, and she is not completely unattached to this DNC leak situation. And so we had this particular email. God knows how many emails there are. She might show up in other ones, but we already have this. So she was asked, do you have a minute to chat today? Wanted to ask you about this fight between the Sanders camp and DNC over adequate representation on the platform committee and others ahead of the convention. This is very important to Sanders supporters, that platform drafting committee. She responded, I have no intentions of touching this. Why? Because I will cuss out the Sanders camp. Now, look, that is perhaps less consequential than some of the things that Debbie Wasserman Schultz said, because Donna Brazile previously was not as highly placed inside of the DNC, thus had less influence, could affect the process less. But to have the person who was ousted because of their manipulation of the primary process replaced by a woman who was cussing out Sanders supporters a month or two ago, I don't think a lot of people are going to see that as a massive improvement necessarily.
Actually, she recused herself because she would have cussed them out. So
Okay,
that's a little
true.
different.
Yes.
She said, I'm not going to
She had that
because I
self-control.
would. So,
Yeah, that's a good take on it.
Good point.
It's almost principled.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But
Okay.
in another email, she also said, I think what the Sanders people are doing is stupid. Now, that was a little later in the process, so she might have said that in the context of, let's wrap this up.
Yeah,
Hillary
because there
Clinton-
are a lot of reasonable Democrats who thought enough already, who were silent for a long time, and then at a certain point said, all right, we get it, done, over,
Yeah.
you know, and she can be among those. She's also a logical interim replacement for them. If she leaves
Vice
CNN,
chair.
she'll go back to CNN, they'll put somebody else in there. So, you know, it's going to change.
Yeah. Now, she also has said at this point what the DNC did was stupid, and she apologized to the Bernie Sanders people on behalf of the DNC and said, we're going to stop that nonsense. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. But I think the bottom line is she is a quote-unquote centrist in the party. She's part of the Democratic Leadership Council that was trying to bring more business interest into the party. So given some of the leaked emails, and again, I find her very amiable. I like her.
Her biography is an unbelievable American story. I mean, forgetting Democrat, Republican, anything.
Right.
Came from poverty that nobody knows and rose up to where she is now. So she has an amazing American story.
And but it's not about her as a person. We could all like her, and everybody in the world can like her. But if you took someone like Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who had a certain mindset, and you go, okay, you guys win, I'm going to get rid of her. But in her place, I'm going to put in someone that seems to have an incredibly similar mindset. That doesn't really solve the problem.
It doesn't solve the problem, and it also makes me wonder what's going to happen in the future when it comes to races like this. Because you can't have the DNC picking winners and losers. You can't have them, you know, secretly endorsing one candidate over another, right? This goes beyond Hillary and Bernie. For me, it goes toward other elections and what they're going to do. If they're going to replace Debbie Wasserman Schultz with someone who, you know, is part of the establishment, who was part of those emails, well, that doesn't really solve the problem. You know, it's thinking about what's going to happen in the future. And
It's a new problem for Democrats, too. I mean,
more like the Republican
It's a
primaries.
Republican. Yeah, the Republicans had that where it was Bob Dole, it was John McCain, it was whoever's card was up next. The Democrats didn't have that. They had an insurgent. They had Bill Clinton. They had an insurgent. They had Barack Obama. So they didn't do it as much. And then also Donna Brazile comes out of a Democratic Party where you can criticize getting money and corporate interests into your party. Again, it's how the game's played. Coming out of the Reagan and Bush 1 years, the Democrats were at a tremendous disadvantage in raising money. They were so powerfully connected, the Republicans at that time, that raising money is what sort of elevated the party for a while. So you have people who were part of the Democratic Party at that point who are now, you know, leaders or fading leaders of this party. So it's going to change again.
Yeah.
So I don't think that Brazile can be faulted because that's how the party was when she was asked to come in there and lift it up. And that was part of lifting it up.
My final point I want to make on this, so the DNC has now had an official statement with Donna Brazile as the prime signature. I'm assuming she was instrumental in drafting it. Bernie Sanders has talked about the leaks, saying that they should not change your support for Hillary Clinton to stop Donald Trump. The only person who refuses to comment, aside from interestingly, aside from on the atheism attacks that they were planning to lodge, is Hillary Clinton. Now, there's nothing in the emails making clear that there was collusion between Hillary Clinton and the DNC, that they weren't taking orders directly from her, but she obviously benefited from what the DNC was doing, and she should talk about it. She was asked, I believe this morning, or it could have been last night, about it. She said, I don't know about the emails, which is, look, if you're trying to get your numbers on untrustworthiness down, that's not the right thing to say, especially when you've already apologized for the atheism attacks, implying that you knew at least a little bit about the emails.
Yeah, look, everyone knew that there was something going on. I don't know if she knew about the emails, but when every single debate was planned during the weekends in the very beginning, you know that there's something up.
Although 2 of the 3 highest debated debates were a Saturday and a Sunday debate.
That's actually shocking, because most people are not interested in watching debates on a Saturday or a Sunday night. So that's actually, I love that it's counter to what they expected to happen.
Yeah.
But the emails themselves indicate that they wanted to plan the debates during the weekends to drown out Bernie Sanders' message, which is crazy. Which also, by the way, shows that Bernie Sanders was a threat for the Democratic Party.